Наш следующий докладчик, он сможет нам рассказать, как реализовывать все эти хорошие стратегии, которые разрабатываются международными экспертами. Господин Jorge Nunez является консультантом-исследователем Центра европейских политических исследований. Хотелось бы в двух словах сказать, что это в Европе, наверное, самый престижный мозговой центр, который консультирует непосредственно Европарламент, Европейскую комиссию, и с их итогами их исследований считается. То есть можно сказать, что они непосредственно влияют на процессы принятия решений европейскими институтами. Также к слову, что совет директоров этого центра, например, в настоящее время состоит из бывшего премьер-министра Ирландии, министра экономики Франции, руководителей основных таких крупных европейских фирм, как Volvo, Суэстрактаб и так далее. То есть это очень такой престижный think tank. Господин Нунес, он ранее работал в Европейской комиссии, он был оценщиком национальных стратегий, то есть он оценивал, насколько перед тем, как они должны быть подписаны. Также он работал относительно вопроса вступления стран-членов кандидатов в Европейский Союз в бытность свою в Европейской комиссии. Теперь же он независимый консультант, он работал в странах, в частности в Восточной Европе, в Болгарии, Словакии и так далее, то есть хорошо знаком с вопросами переходного периода. Господин Нунес, доктор Нунес, защитил свою докторскую диссертацию в Лондонском университете. Она была посвящена теме, очень интересная тема, определения влияния правил голосования в Совете Европейского Союза на общие сельскохозяйственные политики. То есть он также специализируется на вопросах сельскохозяйственной экономики. Слово вам. Floor is yours.
My watch in front of me, so I will see. So, yes, so my background is really one of a bit of a nomad and a bit of a mercenary going around doing projects all around the world. I'm going to soon have to go probably to evaluate projects of the European Investment Bank in West Africa, so every country is okay. But I was invited here because of the best kind of reasons. I was one of the students from because in front of me I'm teaching in Budapest. I explained issues that happen in development plans, and she said, you have to go to this conference, and here I am. So I'm not an expert in it. I'm sorry for that. So what I'm going to tell you is about the experiences going to different countries and finding what's happening. I have read, however, a bit quickly, nevertheless, the national sustainable development strategy of the country, so I will just refer to it a bit. But if we can have the next slide. Passing the slide. Okay. First of all, very quickly, issues of the presentation. First is a message to the successful countries do not always do exactly what you are told. But don't only do what you think that you like to hear. So this is really an issue that I realized that a lot of people are copying strategies, or are listening to people like me now that say, I come here without knowing anything, and don't listen only to me. You have to think for yourself. Don't do a strategy that someone gives you a blueprint. I will tell you, however, some issues that many countries have. The trap of comparative advantage, theories, how to read them, how to write your own strategy. Be careful with theories. Think about practice and applications. Remember, theories are very simplified forms of analysis. I will discuss also with the changes for the 21st century. The world is changing, but I see that many strategies are always behind changes. The world is really, really changing in many ways, and you have to be on it, not following it. I will discuss about developing the economy, medium and long-term development factors, and some points about your national development strategies. Okay, what do successful countries do? Uh, First of all, I want to remind you that very quickly, I mean, comparative advantage series, I see very many strategies thinking about what is your comparative development. Think about what you will be comparative on, how you will develop your country, will depend very much on what you want to develop. Very often you are being told, oh, you are good in this sector, you have an advantage in this sector, and this is the sector you have to develop. Switzerland has mountains and cows and is landlocked. And their chemical industry, their watch industry, their IT industry, all of their industries were not built because they were comparatively advantaged to it when they developed them, it's because they wanted to develop them, and they did it. And it's a question, when you have a national strategy, you have to be realistic, but you have to also be ambitious. And you have to realize that if you want to do something, you educate people for it, you concentrate on it, you can do it, but it's not easy. So when someone comes from some institution and said, oh no, don't develop that, why do you develop IT or study IT? You have cows, do cows. Well, no, it's not like that. So comparative advantage, very often you will have consultants come in, they look at it statically. What you're good today at, that's what you have to focus on. You're good to what you can become good at. So you have to think about endogenous potential, the potential inside the country. Free trade, they come and tell you, get rid of your borders, it's good for you. Well, you can do it properly, you can do it in ways that is more advantageous. Every country that has developed has not been developed because they just let everything happen. It is difficult, you need to develop your sectors, you have to be careful, you have to be strategic on how you treat your neighbors and how they treat you. Developed countries never became rich because they were fantastic free traders. They were very good at taking advantage of trade, and this is something you should also learn how to do it. Advantage also mean collaboration. In the European Union, think about it, we do have barriers outside, but we collaborate inside. We can walk through borders, and there's no border controls. I can drive through from the south of Spain to Sweden, and nobody will stop me even once at any border. You can do business, so this is one thing. So, now next slide. So I wanted to say the changes in the 21st century, if you do a strategy, remember things are changing. One of the most important points, according to me, is that technology is becoming increasingly cheaper. Industries are changing. The energy sector is changing. The business sector is changing. The biggest companies in the world at the moment are not physically existing. They are online. So things change. Information is more easily accessible. But also other things can be a problem. You have bigger international trade competition. Trade is global now, so it's harder. Infrastructure barriers that are important. You have a problem with migration and also with the time preference of people. People want change now, and the economy doesn't change now. It changes when you do it properly. It takes time. You have high costs of entry. That's why I say with free trade is great, but when you have big players around and you want to enter, the cost of entry in a sector is difficult. That's why strategically you have to think about how do you help some sector you want to develop to enter. Because if you enter in a world of global trade where there are several mature people in it, they're not going to let you easily. So free trade is a sword of both. You have a sword that has two sides. It's good, but sometimes you need to treat it carefully. You have asymmetric trade policies. Countries are not very fair on their trade systems. They tell you to open your borders, but then they will come behind and do another policy. I will give you an example. The European Union did something I found hateful. I got very angry when I was there, and I was a negotiator. They negotiated with the new member states that were joining the EU the double zero agreement, which means that on both sides they eliminated trade barriers. And this was a great signal and movement from the EU to the new members. What happened then is it was not like that. They did double zero agreement, but for example, they maintained the export subsidies. So you would find very cheap French butter destroying the local businesses in Bulgaria. be careful with agreements. They subsidize their exports there into the new member states were supposed, this was before accession, there were countries coming in. And they got tricked. So be careful even from your nearest friends. The big friends sometimes are not as friendly, especially when they have the power. And this I say it as a person that was from the other side, but I thought this was really not good when you are with countries that were trying to join. So developing the economy, developing the resilience. Strategic planning is crucial. I have been advising some countries, I've also been in some places. Strategic planning was a big issue. Strategic planning is difficult. One of the first mistakes I think from countries when they do strategic planning that is written by 3 or 4 administrators. 3 or more administrators are not experts in their country, they are experts in administration. So you have to have a good way of, you need to have the right people to do a planning. You need to have it inclusive, you have to have quite a lot of people. You have to understand what the country has and what it can potentially become, Now I come with these historical things. I mean, you're being told by a person that comes from a country that 1,000 years ago did not exist. There was nothing, and they are the most powerful country. So history is not enough. History reminds you that you are not underdeveloped country because you are some kind by some external forces or divine reasons, you are forced to be that. History tells you, look, you were there, you could do it again. But don't live in history. I find that when I go to meetings about the development of the country, and the people remind me that they will be very good because they were good 300 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, I said, okay, but it doesn't work like this. I met a Greek person who came to me and said, you know, we had a civilization while you were eating nuts. And I told him back, well, now we have a civilization and now you are eating nuts. So be very careful. I got very offended. I feel sorry for that. But the temptation was too big. Be careful with objectives. I like your national strategy saying we should not copy objectives. I say this from countries that were joining the EU with big advisors and consultants. They had strategies like in 2050 we will be the best country in the world. We will be. I quoted your country. This is one of the worst ones. Was saying that in 2050 will be the most advanced country in knowledge economy. They copied the strategy for sometimes. Never do that. Never put yourself a vision that is so impossible that you yourself cannot believe in it. Because then everything else comes behind. It's ridiculous. You say, well, we are going to be the best in the world. Yeah, well, if you start like this, then it doesn't work. You have to foster as much the big and the small businesses. You need to diversify. It's important that your country is resilient to shocks. If you depend on very few things, you also are very risky into the shocks. Be carefully with natural resources. You will talk. So a part of my presentation was just made obsolete by the previous presentation, but this will make my next slides shorter now. Main factors. I mean, we will talk. I would say education is really central. Education. The problem many countries have is you educate people and they leave to America. But there is. You have to focus on education. It's important, very important. You need innovation, you need entrepreneurship, you need people to be educated also to take risks, to dare. This is why openness is very important. If you close people's minds and you tell them, you know, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you educate them, but at the same time you educate them not to dare, they will not really go forward. You need open minds. This is probably one of the strongest parts. You need a banking sector that works. This is speaking about the loans, the small things, microcredits. I'm not speaking about the big foreign investments and stock exchanges, the globe. I mean, you have to have a local banking sector that works. You need legal certainty so people can do contracts and can be sure that when you do a contract is what it is in the contract. You need also legal certainty for people coming to the business here. You should know what is for them there. You need, of course, the infrastructure, but infrastructure, be careful with that. Infrastructure, build what is necessary. I will come to that later. Good numbers. Good numbers are extremely important. And now, this is even in the European Union, with all of the advances and everything, we have a problem with public accounting in some member states. they are badly done. If you don't have good public accounts, you don't know where you are. You don't know what you can afford. And one of the issues I saw in the national strategy, somehow I feel somewhere but that the numbers are not behind the wishes. And that's why you need good accounting. The National Sustainable Development Strategy is a nice document. I will say things, you will say, oh, he's criticizing the strategy. How can he? Well, I read many strategies, lots of them. I have read much worse than this one from countries that believe they are much better than me. So, it's a good start, it's a good strategy. But there are some issues. First, it is too long in some parts. You try to please so many people and to reach so many objectives at the same time that it needs something more. It needs what we call operational programs. You have to separate. You have a national strategy. It should be short, a bit shorter than what you have. And then you need operational programs that specify how to do what you promise in there in more detail. When you start thinking in more detail, you are able to then cross-reference with the national strategy. National strategy should be strategic and should be concise and short. And all the details, you leave them to specific programs. People that stop working on the motorway unemployed, and you don't have businesses, and you have too much motorway, nothing happening. Be very careful on that. It's a mistake in many places. The document falls a bit into the green economy trap. The word green is used like a magical word. We are going to do green agriculture, and this will make money. Green technology, I mean, it uses too much the word without behind. It's a bit of magic power. You know, everybody speaks about the green something today. It has to have a strategy behind it. And then, however, the document later speaks about how it has to promote oil and coal and mining. I understand the economic reasons for that, but if you have strategies that contradict each other from the first paragraph to this final paragraph, I have a little bit of a problem. It wants to be an energy exporter. I want to warn you just one thing. This is happening also in Europe, in the EU. I know you have a lot of energy needs, but all of the countries want to be energy exporters. Everybody in Europe wants to export electricity, and it has to come to such a problem that we have so much energy in Europe that sometimes the wholesale price, the prices for the producers are negative. There is so much electricity, so every investor, and the only reason people are investing in energy is because there is some government defending their prices. Because the actual price sometimes is negative, because we have too much renewables, too much nuclear, too much everything, because we didn't phase out. Yeah, I'm going to finish. So we need to also think that technology in the energy sector is changing very fast, which means that new systems are appearing at a speed that is unbelievable. So we don't know exactly which is the next energy thing. So maybe we should consider if you don't have to do something else than with the energy. No, it's okay. So you have a couple of things. First of all, is to say, develop ties with neighbors which are mutually positive. Be careful with the kind of, I told you, when you have a big partner, be careful about where you are with that. But then you can have Central Asian connections. Try to be mutually positive. Be careful with one-sidedness of agreements. Identify strategic infrastructures you need, especially cross-border. Identify them, collaborate in making them. Another thing I would recommend is to try to leapfrog. Technology is changing. Don't try to build the technology of the past. Try to see if you cannot attract maybe the best companies in the world or something, and they create your center of analysis here. Offer them to test all of their smart city technologies in the city here. I mean, you have a lot of problems. You have a lot of infrastructure problems. It's hard to believe they're going to build something you don't need, and you don't have so many opportunity costs. Means you don't have so many infrastructures that have a long life still living. So you can do that, and you can leapfrog. This means you can put something new, and maybe then attract a lot of not only the companies but also the creative research centers here. This is a strategy that a lot of countries could have done and then they missed, especially in some of the new member states. Do not do prestige projects. Big, let's do the biggest power station that will do whatever, or let's do the biggest gas power station. I've seen some plants, they build them so big, there's no capacity, there's not enough inputs, and then it doesn't work properly. But they were with German stamps on it, and they are very good and very expensive. Don't do that. The last thing, be careful with the coal and oil and prices. Coal, it depends how it's going to go. I don't know how it will go, but it is clear that if you want to combat climate change, they say, the calculations are that 80% of coal should stay underground and 50% of oil if you ever want to reach anything like the objective of not having more than 2% increase in global climate temperature. So can you have, what is your strategy? You focus on this very strongly. I understand the logic, but then afterwards, politically or globally, there is another movement, and the prices may go down. You may be actually having a mind that doesn't have the prices in the world. So there we are. I think I'm finishing now. So, pass it over. So just diversity. You really need service sectors. I said that it's important, but limitations. If you have like to say, oh, let's focus on tourism, let's focus on that, means you have to really diversify. I would say IT, technology. If you're doing smart technologies, if you do, for example, decentralized energy systems that are coming, they are cheap, they are very powerful, there are new technologies coming. If you have the IT is crucial to coordinate all of this. Transport, energy, they will be coordinated, integrated. It's happening. Politicians are behind everywhere, but it's happening in reality from a technology point of view. Concentrate, get the people ready for this kind of changes. Attract innovative approaches. So analyze the potentials of the industrial sectors you can have, but think beyond of what you have, beyond of the big things, beyond of what people can immediately see over that. And think about the long-term impact. And the last question is really the last one, is be ready to understand how far do you really want to go? What do you want to be? I always say you cannot be at the same time France and America. That's what Europe is trying to do. They want to have a very expensive social system and a very capitalistic system and a very everything at the same time. It doesn't work. You cannot have everything. You have to think how far you want to go and what kind of society you want to build. Think it carefully, and good luck, and I hope you all the best. Well, I hope it was interesting. Thank you.
Давайте не буду больше занимать времени, и сразу хотелось поговорить, что возьму ровно 5 вопросов.
Все презентации были очень интересные и много узнали. Но у меня есть один вопрос and two statements. That is one question I would like to pose to one of my colleagues from India. I being from India and following this region, I would like to ask and share two viewpoints. One is that my colleague from India has very rightly pointed out a number of issues. But I just wanted to know that when he was building up the vision and scenarios till 2050, he has mentioned a number of countries' relationship. But as you know that Indian Prime Minister was here in India in the month of July, and a number of agreements have signed, and India has got a very good relationship with this region, and number of cooperations are already taking place with this region for many years, for the last 20 years since their independence. So can you please tell that how do you see India and Central Asian countries' relationship coming up in next 50 years, and specifically you feel in which particular direction and which particular segments will develop more? That is one. And my viewpoints about his open regionalism.
We'll take just questions.
Just one moment. It's very important, I think, because when we are talking about in the Silk Route Research Center, then we must mention that transport corridors, they are opening up the region, and the new regionalism has already started developing, because all this connectivity is connecting the regional countries through roads, railways, as well as through sea. So this is already started, and we can see this is a bright future. And also about the diversification of the strategies, I would like to say that diversification has already started, because 20 years they have understood that energy is not the only aspect for the growth. So in non-oil sectors, the development and the strategies have already been following. So we could see a very great opportunities for this region. Thank you.
У меня вопрос к господину Бабаджану Бахтияру. Вот для нас в Кыргызстане после выборов остались три актуальные проблемы. Это инфляция цен, девальвация сомы и ситуация с религиозным экстремизмом. Вот я хотел бы знать ваше мнение, как эксперта. Ситуация именно с экстремизмом, радикализацией в нашем регионе и прогноз. Например, москвичи считают, что Ферганская долина вопрос решенный, в ближайшее время там обязательно будет мощный взрыв. Ваше
Вы процитировали очень четко президента Нурсултана Назарбаева о суверенитете, об отделении политэкономики. Но, к сожалению, это были те слова, которые он говорил на фоне растущего недовольства своего населения именно первыми последствиями от вступления в Евразийский союз. То есть, и какие вы видите перспективы, то есть, кроме вот этих таких образных, да, вот открытия многомиллионного рынка и так далее, потому что здесь сидят исследователи, и мы знаем, что политика, она неотделима от экономики, то есть экономическая составляющая, она, в принципе, и составляет часть суверенитета. И здесь сидят бизнесмены, которые видят 20% девальвацию национальной валюты, закрытие, как бы сокращение рынка и сокращение экономики в целом. Спасибо.
Давайте ответим на первую серию вопросов.
Как бы сказать, три проблемы объединили в одну. Ну, на самом деле, действительно, я вот сейчас подумал, как правило, эти проблемы возникают одновременно, часто так бывает. Но давайте так, из вашего опыта Кыргызстана, вы знаете, как бы эти две революции, но религиозные деятели туда неофициальные и неофициальные тоже не вторгались, насколько я знаю ситуацию. Да? Поэтому причины я не вижу, я не напрасно говорю об информационной панике, мы часто ее создаем сами, что вот это опасно, вот это опасно. Ну, я не вижу опасности. Вот, даже вот сейчас последние исследования по поводу вашего Хизб-ут-Тахрир на юге, они очень сильно оторваны от материнской партии как идеологически, так и физически. Поэтому это что-то другое, это местная локальная форма. Ну, я не знаю, можно всех обвинить таким образом в терроризме, это я считаю, надо быть очень осторожным. Поэтому большая ответственность не только на политиках, на экспертах и вот визави тех, кто внутри, я говорю о внутриконфессиональном терпимости тоже, что есть разные формы, и сразу говорят, они плохие, а мы вот, стало быть, вывод-то какой, значит, мы правильные, мы хорошие. Надо, я считаю, вот, быть осторожным. И революции на религиозной почве я не ожидаю. Ну, по крайней мере, я не думаю, что она будет. И она обычно приходит потом, когда в результате инфляции, экономических проблем, еще каких-то проблем, когда вот взрывается, потом, может быть, это приобретет. Но причиной это не станет. Спасибо.
Спасибо. Молодой человек не представился, но очень хороший вопрос. По идее, этот вопрос надо задавать тем политикам, которые ныне у власти. Но тем не менее я отвечу. Давайте посмотрим на карту мира. Где находится Кыргызстан? Вот где мы находимся? Не только в центральной. Как у нас развиты коммуникации и так далее. Сейчас, вы знаете, весь мир интегрируется. Европейский Союз. Сейчас новые интеграционные процессы пошли. Недавно вот Транс-Тихоокеанское партнерство создано, вы знаете. Значит, трансатлантическое партнерство создается. И мы, если хотите, я вам откровенно скажу вот при всей публике, мы вынуждены, почему мы вынуждены Евразийский Союз? Нам деваться некуда. А то, что вы говорите, эти проблемы абсолютно правы. Вот представьте, В 2011 году было заявлено, и палец о палец власть действующая ничего не сделала. Согласитесь, да? Не разъяснила ни населению и не подготовила. За 4 года можно было создать средний и малый бизнес, поднять на какой-то уровень. Не строить какие-то эфемерные дороги, которые экономический эффект будет через 10-20 лет, если будет в лучшем случае. Или там еще какие-то объекты. Поэтому я думаю, что проблема в том, что наше население не готово и экономика не готова. Я здесь абсолютно согласен, и сейчас будут трудности. Теперь, что касается, вот я начал говорить, что про глобальные процессы. Представьте на одну минуту, если мы не вступаем в Евразийский экономический союз. Хорошо, мы вступили в торговый, ВТО, да, помните? И что это ВТО нам дало? Ничего не дало, да? По большому счету.
Цены у вас дешевле.
Не, ну, да, мы за счет реэкспорта все дешевле. А если сейчас реэкспорт, у нас поднимется автоматически. Сейчас мы пока стоим на месте, знаете почему? Потому что нету у нас ни импорта, ни экспорта. Поэтому, уважаемые друзья, если мы не вступаем в Евразийский экономический союз, мы вообще в тупике оказываемся. У нас тогда бензин, энергоносители пойдут вверх, товары, которые через казахские и российские железные дороги подорожают и так далее. Поэтому сейчас ситуация такая, что вот я в своем докладе, мне просто не дали, там много говорил об этом, что ожидания населения большие, как на самом деле, я этот кусочек вам зачитал, покажет время. И я думаю, что сейчас еще не поздно, надо те финансы. Вы знаете, допустим, в прошлом году Россия дала 120 миллионов долларов на поддержку бюджета страны. Знаете об этом? А в итоге что получилось? Мы все проели, правильно? А создаем такие предприятия, которые в Карабалте, вы помните, которые евро-2, евро-3 на Афганистан работают, экологию портят. И хвалимся, что у нас есть такие инвестиции. Поэтому сейчас, когда мы в Евразийский экономический союз надо было вступать, я считаю, это первое. Второе, нам нужен прагматизм. Я абсолютно с вами согласен, что категория политика и экономика, они взаимосвязаны и взаимозависимы. И если будет у нас нормальная система государственного управления и нормальные, значит, прагматичные политики, и молодежь, которые здесь вот хвалят наши западные партнеры, будут серьезные перемены и реформы в системе государственного управления, в экономике, я думаю, что мы тогда максимально получим эффект от Евразийского экономического союза.
Спасибо огромное.
У меня такой вопрос. Может ли все-таки ислам, как религия, стать интегрирующей силой между центральноазиатскими странами?
Well, thank you for presenters for such an interesting presentation. So my question goes for Dr. Frederick Starr. So you were talking about the development prospects in Central Asia. So my question is, you have presented a very interesting term like intellectual marxism, and how you conceptualize, like, what is like conceptualization of this concept, like intellectual marxism within the Central Asia? And second question goes about the, since you are talking about the Central Asia development prospects, well, is still Central Asia? Is it, or we are currently talking about the, not Central Asia, but Eurasian context? Fine. This is my two questions. Thank you.
Вопрос. На больную мозоль наступает. Ну вот, вы знаете, если хотеть объединиться, в общем, можно и без ислама, как говорится, объединиться. Тем более у нас ислам разнообразный, может быть в этом разнообразии сила. Но вот я боюсь, что не ислам как объединяющее начало, он работает скорее на уровне, может быть, простых мусульман, но не больше. Нужна воля политиков в первую очередь, конечно. Если политики захотят, это в силу структуры наших режимов, вот, Поэтому здесь в первую очередь, конечно, политики. Во вторую очередь мы сами, в том числе вот уляма, то есть богословы, которые должны вместе объединяться и говорить, что мы единоверцы, хоть и разные, но мы единоверцы, наверное. Вот. Поэтому я повторяю, что здесь это вопрос очень сложный, сами понимаете, что объединение, эти амбиции взаимные, ислам не поможет этому, понимаете? Вот, это может быть скептически, но нужна какая-то эволюция, нужно понять, что мы нужны друг другу, иначе мы не нужны остальному миру, иначе сложно. Спасибо.
Maybe I was too pessimistic in using the term intellectual mankurtism. I believe that today, in 2015, there is the beginning of a new regional mentality in Central Asia. Let me give some examples at the presidential level. If you go to the capital of Turkmenistan, you will find a new park in the center of the city. In that park are statues of all the great thinkers of the region. And I asked the president, do you realize that these are not Turkmen, all of them? And his answer, President Berdi Muhamedov, was very impressive. He said, yes, of course, but they are они наше взаимное наследство. That's a wonderful answer. A year ago in Uzbekistan, in Samarkand, President Karimov had a conference of 300 people from 40 countries. And it was to discuss this great age of Central Asia. And he likes to give speeches, as we know. And he presented a very carefully prepared speech at the beginning, in which he talked about Ibn Sina, among others, Biruni and so forth. And he said, Nash Ibn Sina. But then he very carefully and several times said, это не значит наш в узком смысле этого слова, это значит наш как общее наследство. Now this is something very new and very important. In Kazakhstan, I could give you exactly the same examples. Why are they so enthusiastically exploring their early past? Not as something separate from your early past or from Uzbekistan's early past, but as part of it. Similarly, Ashraf Ghani in Afghanistan, in 8 different speeches, has spoken about Central Asia's golden age. And he says this is our model for a future. Now, my impression is this. Yes, there is a kind of intellectual mankurtism that exists in this region. But today, in 2015, there is a kind of новое течение. For the time being, it is not expressed on a political level, on a national political level. It is not expressed in terms of policy. They aren't ready to talk about it at that level. But there is a readiness now to embrace the idea of a regional identity and that isn't against national identity. It is a kind of, это как второй этаж на здании. And this, it seems to me, is extremely positive. On the second question that was raised,
I think you have to distinguish between centrifugal and centripetal forces in Central Asia. Unfortunately, you are under great pressure. Centrifugal forces are very powerful. I'm not against any relation. I want good relations with everyone in every direction, not one direction. And this requires centripetal forces as well as centrifugal. And yet, you have no institutions for discussing regional problems without outsiders.
Thank you, Mr. Stan. Thank you very much.